You can do it.
Hi, this is Patty Hodge, and this is Dr. Nurses Rock. And this is one video in a series of 30 videos that we're producing throughout the month of April this year on topics related to grief. And you will see this lovely lady is back to visit, Miss Amy Frost, because this topic, I needed a girlfriend for this one.
A girlfriend that really cares about you and is not setting you up.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Because the topic today is girl talk about girls' self-esteem,
Mm.
mean girls and clueless boys.
Ooh, I love that. Well, I hate to, okay, I'm going to get in trouble, but isn't that synonymous? Clueless
Could
and boys? I'm
could
sorry.
could be. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I love boys. I love my boy, but
I have
ooh.
boys. I don't know that I
I
don't
have
know
to say,
that
I was having a
everyone.
conversation just a little bit ago with this amazing man. And my husband, and Chris, okay, I'm just going to say it. His mom left him when he was 2, and his grandmother raised him from the time he was 2 to about 6. And there's times when he's in that clueless place, and I'm like, focus your girl brain. I know your grandma helped you with that. Can you girl brain to girl brain? It works for me.
Well, that might work for other people, but I don't think they're Amy
Well, not most
Frost.
boys have a girl brain in there, but he has. His grandma made sure of it.
I've been helping to raise my grandson, so
Well, see, yay!
yeah, I'm hoping they have clues. So Amy, today something happened. You know how we get triggered, our emotions get triggered, and our memories get triggered, and this person that I met had absolutely no desire to do me harm at all whatsoever. So this is all my crap. But I wanted to talk about it because I think that it really affects most girls, most girls, because somehow we never measure up.
Mm.
Does that resonate?
Oh my God, 1,000%. And so,
I,
again, in so many ways, not
yeah.
only how we look, and we're always competing, not only for grades, but for boys, but for, positions, and of course, we're set up for that in school. And then, of course, that followed us in the workplace.
And isn't that all about grief?
Absolutely.
All of it is about grief because we don't have the relationships that we want with people. We're not included the way we would like to be. We don't feel like we're measuring up. And so we're walking around thinking, how did I get on this planet? And I'm not going to fit in. And that's all very loss like, it's all very grief invoking. So let's share our girl wisdom with the world today.
Well, it's something that comes to me, and just kind of we're going to go with the flow here.
Yeah.
I grew up in the military, and every 30 seconds I was in a new school. And so I was always the new kid on the block, and all those cliques were already formed.
Yeah.
And it was really hard because, again, I was always odd girl out and trying to find out. That's one reason I learned how to be so nice and to be
Yeah.
codependent. So everybody
Yeah.
would like me, but they didn't always.
That's
And there were times when I thought somebody was my friend, at all ages, really. And then all of a sudden I realized, nope, I really wasn't. They wanted to come, whatever, to my house because we had a pool or something. It
yeah.
wasn't about me.
Yeah. And you have such a great heart. How could it not be about you?
I know. Right? Is it again, it's so interesting to me, right? Because when we're coming from that kind-hearted place
Yeah.
and we want people to be happy and we want them to have fun. And so I don't know about you, but for me, one of the things I'm better about it, but I don't see it coming because I don't think like they think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the other piece of this is to see my children experiencing that with other kids, and that's proxy grief. If people remember the video that we had last week or 2 weeks ago, um, that's watching somebody else going through this and saying, "Man, that's not cool. That hurts me to see them going through that."
Oh my God, yeah, and you've right. For me, I always wanted children. I didn't have them, but I have nieces that I'm really close to, and it is really hard, not only, with girls, in school, but with their relationships. And it's like, oh man, it's like, try to learn from my mistakes, right. I have to tell you one of my favorite stories about this, oh, I'm going to say my niece, Katie, my sister Robin is, the flower psychic. And, so the girls grew up in the flower shop. And so my dear sister was always good about things being normative for them. And so and I have this deal with my nieces, it's like, I can't get you out of trouble once you get in trouble. But if you talk to me before you get into trouble, maybe we can do something about it.
Isn't that a good thing to do? Yeah.
Right. So she called me, I don't know, she maybe 8 or 10, I don't remember. And she said, I got in trouble today. I'm like, what happened? Well, I was on the playground and I saw these angels and I went to go talk to them. And my friend said, you're lying, there's no angels. And so they kept doing that. And so then I hit them. And I'm like, well, it's okay for you to see the angels.
Yeah.
And it's okay for you to share, but it's not okay for you to hit them because they don't see them too.
Right.
I mean, that was an interesting conversation. How do I
It's very
answer this?
interesting.
Right?
Well, I don't tell people when I see the angels anymore because, when you're a kid and you have that kind of trauma, you kind of hide that stuff. And so I can feel for her. I'm sorry that that happened. And
But
that's
then, thank God she could talk to me.
exactly. And
And
to
her
have,
mom gave her that ability, to have those kind of conversations. And
sure.
she doesn't have them as openly now. She's 35, but she still somewhat does.
Well, that's what we need, isn't it? That's the support of someone who knows us, who cares about us and about our well-being, and not the mean girl, and not the bully, and not the clueless comments from people that, really don't think before they speak and realize that they're stabbing you in the heart with their commentary. So, in any case, um, I'm sure that boys go through some part of this too, you know. But when I spoke to someone and said, why do boys not talk about this stuff? The answer was a shrug. And like, don't ask me about that because I'm not going to tell you.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do we tell girls? How do we move past this grief of, well, they did not include you in the party, and then they called you up to taunt you about it.
Well, I
Or
think so much of it, right, is us. It's not about the other and really helping them to know who they are,
right.
right? And even when others are not kind to us, how do I still be kind? And sometimes you have to meet the energy with the energy. I do a lot of work in the workplace of handling difficult people. And one of the things that I always ask people first when we're talking about difficult people, I always say, are you being the difficult person first?
Aha. Little self-reflection going on
Right? And maybe I'm right. And maybe, right? But okay, so what if you're right?
there.
I always like to see, do you have a dog in that fight?
Yeah.
And if you don't, why are you in the middle of it?
Good question. That's a great thing to reflect on is our own behavior and what is it inviting and where does that come from? Because a lot of unhealed, unresolved grief leaves us making choices that uh, just are mirroring the early injury.
Like my
And
mother, she was a hurt person and she didn't really know how to be kind and loving.
yes,
And so for me, it was a lot of projection. I'm not lovable because the person who's supposed to love me doesn't love me. And fortunately, I had other role models in my life. I had a really good teacher in sixth grade, I think it was, that really changed my life, who really saw me as an amazing person.
yes,
And so I think, hoping young girls, and I used to work with youth at risk at the Career Institute. And one of the most important things I think I taught them was about hope and that they're in charge of their own hope. no
Okay.
matter what's going on,
Sure.
and to find good mentors. And it could be other students, it could be teachers. I think that's it, is find those mentors who know how to be unconditionally loving. And part of unconditional love is saying cut the crap out too.
That's right. Well, on Dr. Nurse's Rock, we talk about finding your tribe. And that's really what I'm talking about. It's talking about people that really truly have your best interest at heart, who know you and love you, who are not going to go out of their way to do harm to you. And people will make mistakes. That's the other thing. We make mistakes. We need to learn to accept people as being human. And
Yeah, and again, it's where is my heart at? Where is my intention at? And I have to tell you, so Michael and I just started doing a weekly kind of A&M munch. I'm very excited about that. And we set it up for Wednesdays, right? So yesterday was Tuesday. And I'm on another call that I had scheduled at the time, right? And he's calling me, and I'm like, "What is going on?" And so, but I'm on this thing, so I finish this thing, and then I call him. He's like, "Oh, did you forget?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? It's tomorrow." And so he did do it, and he published it, and I just, and then we really sat with it. I know that who he is. I know what our relationship is. And so I just said, okay, let's do it tomorrow when we're supposed to do it. And we did do it this morning. I'll have to send you it. And it was really lovely. And I was teasing him,
yes.
but it was like, but he swore, no, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. I'm like, look at your calendar. But we didn't, attack each other. What I
Oh,
like to say, okay, so my friend Dr. Maria gave me this, you and me. And there's again, it's about us. How
yes.
do I support, like you and I are now in us.
Right.
And I'm committed to the us. I stand for me, I stand for you, and I stand for
Which
us.
is why I'm so grateful that we met. And that would not have happened without doing this series on grief. And I can say that you are so supportive and someone that I feel I trust and I can rely on. And that's an amazing thing to find at any age.
I know, right? I was just thinking that, but it just, people say, oh, when you're older, you don't get friends. Like,
Well, while we're talking, I'd like to tell a story that happened with a boy. I mean, we're talking about, bully girls and mean girls, but I had two instances that came to mind when I was thinking about this topic today. One was I was sitting at a table, I was in the nursing program, my first degree, and I don't even know who this person was. He came down, he sat at the table, and he's chatting, and he said, "If you lost 10 pounds, you'd be perfect."
oh my God.
And I'm thinking, is this guy like a stalker? Is like a crazy person? What is happening here? Who would say that to anybody in their right mind? Right. And so I really had to process that, and say, wait a minute, that's not appropriate in any arena that I know of. And, I sort of moved to another table.
Good for you.
Yeah. But what would someone else do? I don't know. But isn't that weird? And then that,
Yeah, no, unfortunately, people think they have the right to say whatever they choose to say. But again, but what if that, I hate to say a test because I'm not a fan of tests, but just like, okay, who am I really? And does somebody else's opinion matter? Especially somebody I don't even know.
uh,
And I think those things are happening all the time. I mean, and I'm grateful that we have us.
yes,
And I really want to support women, certainly people of all ages, but I'm going to focus on women right now of all ages, creating these systems of support. And you got to create it.
you
You got
do.
to be committed to it. And you got it right. And you're gonna and I was just having this conversation earlier about what does support look like. Well, you need to know what you need for support,
That's right.
and you have to build it and you have to maintain it.
And you have to be able to cut things off that are harmful to you. That's psychic surgery, right? That's saying, listen,
Amen.
you do not belong in this energy field. And
Well, and it's just like, biblical terms. I'm not, my good friend of mine, he's very good at that. And we always talk about it. My sheep hear me and I hear my sheep,
there you go.
you
Yeah,
know? And if I'm trying to make them hear me, they ain't my sheep.
that's right. That's right. And we need to teach little girls that they have agency, that they are worthy, that they are whole just the way they are, that no one has a right to damage them in any way. And but there, we have these little losses that happen throughout life, and we have to learn how to cope with them
Hmm.
and how to adapt and how to protect ourselves. And that's a capable, good enough, what they call a good enough mother. That's like back in psychology days, right? Winnicott. But the second incident that happened, um, we were in high school, and I was in all girls high school, and so I we had limited contact with boys, and they set up this dance between a boys' school and a girls' school, and several of us, when we got in line to be paired off with our guy, the guy never showed.
Ooh.
So there was a table of us without an escort. And I was one of those girls. And of course, I went home to my mother, who I'm absolutely certain, thought I wasn't good enough to attract a guy at that point, because moms say terrible things when they're not well. And
Mhm.
so it's something that stayed with me, right? So both of these things were about, um, well, one was about appearance, obviously, where this fellow thought it was okay to make a comment. But this other thing was, why did this guy disappear? Did he take a look at me and he just said no? So all of this stuff that goes through a person's mind, and it's not when you really tell a little girl about this, listen, honey, that's not about you. That's about something with that person that thought it was okay, or maybe he was so insecure that he didn't feel like he could follow up with his commitment to be present for you. So,
And we don't have the skills, when we're that young
correct. Nobody
to
has
deal
those,
with that.
no child has those skills.
And
And
so it's like knowing, so going back, in one of my favorite exercises is, and again, we'll have moments where I'll feel that. I'm like, I'm very confident in myself, but I'll have those moments. And so one of my favorite exercises is to get yourself into a meditative state, whatever that looks like for you. It doesn't have to be hyper deep, and just take some nice deep breaths. And then imagine a golden string going back where this pattern happened before. And it could be 5 days ago, or it could be 5 years ago. And imagine your higher self in yourself now, in yourself them, and you having a loving conversation based on the skills you know that you have now.
how healing is that?
Oh my gosh,
The
because
break.
we're having grief continuously.
And these are not things that I give thought to on a daily basis. This just shows up every once in a while. It's an unresolved grief. It's something that I didn't have a chance to look at and process and feel better about. And so and I'm a highly functioning human being. Okay, so a lot of people are walking around without skills, without
Oh my
knowing that.
God, I know. How
And
do they do it?
I don't know, but this is for them. This is,
Exactly.
you know,
Get that you're enough, and yeah, it's okay to feel bad about things. It's okay to not be okay. That sounds cliche, but it's true.
yeah,
And it's a matter of, what do I need to do? And maybe you need to do something. Maybe you need to change something. Maybe you need to, whatever. But, be realistic about that,
right.
and come up with a plan. And it's so funny as you're talking and thinking, what, I've even had this with my own self, in that I'll look at pictures when I was whatever, and I'm like, dang, I looked really good. And I know at that moment that that picture was taken, I was thinking, I look like crap.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, what the heck?
Do we do that to
I
ourselves
was
all
like,
the
dang it.
time?
So now I try to be, when I'm having pictures taken, or even, us doing this now, is like, you know what? I like what I look like. I like who I am. I'm not going to compare myself to 20 years ago
Right.
or whatever, when I was 10 pounds thinner or whatever. Can I like me now? And
Well, I
still
like
wish
you
I could
now.
change some things. Thank you. Right. And still wish I could change them. It's so funny getting ready. This is my third recording today.
Yeah, you're so
And
popular.
I guess. But I was in getting ready. It was really interesting because I thought, and funny, I love this top. It has a little bit of flow, and it's a little bit different color than I normally wear. And I was thinking about why I got this. And the last time I think I wore this, I was presenting at a big conference. And there was 2,000 people in the room. It was live streamed all over the country. And I think there was a part of me there's like, I can't live up to that if I wear this today to this thing.
Oh,
Isn't
wow.
that weird?
It is.
But
Well,
I but until we started having that conversation, oh, isn't that funny? I mean, I love it and it's in my closet, but I haven't allowed myself to wear it.
yeah. We are so tough on ourselves. Who
Oh
needs a
my
bully?
God. A lot of times the grief, the mean girl's us.
We're mean to
Crap.
ourselves. Yeah.
Right?
Just-
And I think, and I've had this conversation a lot, especially in the last year. If I really loved myself, how would I act? And think about, this is one of my favorite things for people to think about, is think about the person you love the most, the person that you're the kindest to, you're the most loving to. Can you be that way with you?
Yeah. And so an earlier video in my on my channel, I did talk about loving yourself as you would love an infant that needs your
Mm,
care, right?
I love
What we don't
that.
there, because there's this organization that I resonate with, which is the adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families.
Oh, oh.
Yeah, and so they are
Hello.
they are so supportive to people, and you really process that through the 12 steps. Um, but that they exist is so important, and their principles are that you have an unhealed child inside of you, basically, and a critical parent, and all those other things. So my idea is that it's not just the child, it's the infant. It goes all the way back. If you've been deprived, you've been deprived from day one. And so it's learning how to give yourself proper food, proper cleanliness, enough rest. What do babies do? They eat, they sleep, and they eliminate. They cry to communicate. And then as you grow, there's a little bit more that happens. You play, you engage, you grow in musculature and all of that. So those developmental stages have to be met to be healthy and normal and
Mhm.
good to yourself. And if you're lacking in any of those, go back and fix what you can.
Exactly. Exactly. And play, play is
Great.
so critical.
That's the big one. It is the big one.
Yeah. One
Yeah,
of the things that we did in my master's in spiritual psychology is we, for a month, we did kind things for somebody that we cared about, but we didn't really do that, much for. But we were also to do it for ourselves. Whatever I did for that person, I had to do for me.
that's a great thing.
Isn't that cool? And so then we wrote a report after the month. How did it change my relationship with that other person? And of course, I never told her I did this because I didn't want her to think I just, was just being nice because it was an assignment, you know. But how did it might change my relationship with her? But also, how did it change my relationship with myself?
Yeah, that's great. Kindness
It's
goes a
a
long way.
great exercise.
Well, if we could get people to agree to do that, that might help them too.
And maybe just try for the next day, do that
You're just a
and see.
fountain of good ideas. Just flow right out of you.
Yeah, thank you. And again, I'm all about my husband always teasing me. You're always doing homework. Yes, I am. Because
I,
that's how things change, until you make intentional, decisions and take intentional action, nothing changes. And so I think that's it. Is like, now that's why I'm a big fan of making simple, easy homework assignments.
well, there it is. And here's something that I wanted to say that I couldn't pull out of my brain a little while ago, which is I heard a teacher say to her class, don't mention anything to anyone that they can't fix in 30 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that great?
I love
And
that.
that would include, like your shoelaces untied, but it doesn't include, that's a lousy haircut you got.
Oh my God. Oh my, you're right. It's like, oh my God, not the hair. Don't start with the hair. Oh no. Oh my God. The other thing was funny. I was thinking the other day was, at work I used to dress really fancy and all that. And, I would have, hose on in the old days,
Yes.
and like say a black pair. And then you have a run going down the back and somebody tells you, and I'm like, why did you tell me that? I was fine until you told me. I couldn't see it. I didn't care. Now that's all I can think of.
Well, I mean, you didn't have 30 seconds to
I
fix
would have to go
something.
home or go to the store, buy
Maybe
another
carry
pair.
an
It's
extra
like,
pair
it's
in your
like,
pocketbook.
this is
People don't carry
not helpful.
pocketbooks anymore either. I'm dating myself, right? Your purse, your messenger bag or whatever it is we use.
Whatever, it
Yeah.
was like, I have to tell you, so another story that comes to mind, we'll play with this. So growing up in the military, you're always going to different schools and you'd be tested and whatever. And so I got to whatever school it was and I was the smartest kid in the math class, right? Yay. I was pretty happy about that. And then because of the testing, they moved me to the advanced math class and I was the not smartest kid in that class. And I really struggled with that. Talk about grief. I went from, yes, I'm the smartest kid to I'm the dumbest kid,
Oh
you
my.
know? And I didn't have the wherewithal to think I'm the same girl,
You are the same girl, and I'm going to
right?
tell you, I'm going to give you a back behind the scenes look at this. The reason my screen is moving so much is that my cat will not leave me alone.
I love that for
She's sitting
you.
here.
I wish I had a cat that would leave me alone. Mine's gone now.
I
But
don't, I don't want people thinking I'm here like wriggling my computer on purpose here.
oh,
This,
that's hilarious. And so what if they do?
there you go.
You
Good.
can do whatever you want. I don't care.
Here
My
she
screen is
goes.
just fine. Aren't we back to that, right?
We're
It's
back
like,
to that. Still, I mean, let's be kind to ourselves. Let's be kind to everybody else. Let's be able to process whatever grief is showing up in our lives each day. And do that with someone who loves you. And that should be yourself first, right? That should be yourself first. And I guess that's the message of this whole meeting here today is find your tribe, engage people that you know will be kind to you and help you, and be honest about what's going on because that's the only way you're going to get to the bottom of what's happening. So, Amy Frost, you've saved the day.
whoop, whoop, whoop. But, again, and yeah, how can I have fun even in this crazy?
Yeah.
How can I have fun? And I have to share with you. I don't know if I shared with you textually, but today's April Fool's. Yay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, but my husband's brother died by an accident on April Fool's.
Yes, you did text me.
So, and he was a trickster. I never got to meet him. But so there's that. I want to honor my husband's grief today, but
Sure.
I also wanted to do something that would help him remember his brother. So I played a little trick on him this morning, um, and and I got him. And it wasn't a massive thing or whatever, but I was like, that was for Billy.
Okay. I mean, the one transformative thing, two things were very transformative in my grief journey. One was a very old priest said to me, "Oh, grief, it looks good on you." And at
Mm,
that point, I never even thought about the word grief, except when someone would say to me, "Don't give your mother grief." And I didn't even know what they meant, right? But when he said that, it made me start to look at what on earth is he talking about? And
mm.
the other transformative thing was death does not end a relationship.
Oh gosh, yeah, absolutely.
So those two things are things I would like to leave with our listeners today is to remember, right?
They're
Loss,
in their joy and their pain. Again, the sadness of today's the anniversary, but
right?
also remember the fun, crazy things that Billy used to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So blessings to you across the miles, Amy Frost.
We will meet again.
We will.
I'm
Till
just
then.
warning you. It's a warning.
Well, bye for now.